So the first thing, I don't need the cheese for a minute, so I'm putting that to one side. Right, but that's for the whole class, so I'm going to chop that up. So you're getting 150 grams of mince each. This is a 1 kilo packet. So this will be 7 out of this. Right, and then we'll have 50 grams, that means you'll just get slightly less. So I'm going to do this into 7. 8's nice and easy. So if I cut this 1/2 bigger than the other, slightly, or the teacher will do this, don't worry. Then I do this 1 into 4, yeah, and this 1 into 3, right? But the teacher will do this and might even put it in the bowl here, but I'm just showing you. You're getting 150 grams, which is roughly 1 to 2 portions, because we're also going to get cheese as well. So I've got the blood on here, so I need to take that off, so I'll put that on that side. If you're drying a knife, you'll need to wipe it away from you. So the first thing is I've got the mince here. So the mince is going to go in. So if I put it in with my hands, I need to wash my hands. So I could use a spoon to save me washing my hands. So I've already got some oil in here, and I put it in the jug because this is easy to dish out. So we can put a tiny bit of oil. You can dry fry it. This mince is 12% fat. By law, it should be under 20%. Lean mince has 5%, so we might have to drain this, we might not have to. 5% you don't have to, the 20% you do. This is in between. I'm only going to put a tiny bit of oil, 1/2 tablespoon, that's just going to stop it burning. You can dry fry it if you want to as well. So that goes in here, and I'm putting that on. Right, but you'll need to weigh all your stuff first, might be a good idea. So I'm going to put mine on, right? Not going to leave it too long, otherwise it's going to catch on fire, right? So then I'm going to put one of the minces in, so 150 grams of mince. And if you think about it, an egg is 50 grams, so it's 3 times the size of an egg. That's what you get. So it's the equivalent of 3 eggs you get. So as you can see, there's probably more than 1 portion with the cheese. So I'm going to dish this up later to make sure everybody doesn't nick each other's. So the next thing I need to do is I'm going to make the sauce at the same time, or I can peel the onion. Oh, no, the first job to do, actually, I'm going to turn that off. With my class have actually, it's all made there, so I haven't made mine, I've got them making it. So I've got 100 grams of 00 flour in here. Let's make the pasta first, basically. 100 grams of 00 flour. I've got some red little chili flakes here. And what I've done is, with these seeds here, these, there's like seeds and there's things, I've got them to take them out. That's the first job they've done. So I've got some without any. Then I can also put some herbs in. I'm going to put a little bit of salt in, 1/2 teaspoon, and you can put some pepper in as well, as if you like. So a little bit of salt in there, and you can put a bit of pepper in as well, so get a bit of black pepper. If you were to make this green pasta, you can put spinach in it, cooked spinach or cooked basil, or you can put tomato puree in it to make it red. You can get black pasta that's got squid ink in it. So now I need to put an egg in it. Now this might need a little bit more water as well. So we whisk this up with a fork, and I reckon you'll need normally one egg, but these eggs aren't very big. So I reckon we need 1 egg and a little bit of water. So I'm going to put that in, mix it up, and this is 00 flour. If you haven't got 00 flour, normal flour will work, but it's just very fine flour. It's not that strong, but it's very fine. Now mine is nowhere near enough, so I reckon I need another tablespoon at least. Some of mine needed a tablespoon, some needed less than a tablespoon. So 1 tablespoon of water, and then we're going to, that's 15 more millilitres, and then egg is about 50 millilitres, so that's maybe 65. We don't want it too sticky, otherwise it'll get stuck in the pasta machine. Now what I've got mine to do, and they've all done this already, is they put it in the fridge with their name tag 6 to a tray. Right, so you get your name tag, one of the white plastic trays, and then you just put it in there and it lets it rest. So I can knead this for a little bit, so that's about the right consistency. If it's too dry, it won't roll out. If it's too wet, it will stick in the rolling machine. So if it's a bit sticky, make sure you flour it well before you go through the pasta machine, otherwise you'll get it all stuck in there, which is a nightmare. So I don't need the red board, knead it a bit on the table, only for about 20 seconds. Can you bring me the cling film machine down, thank you? Cheers, and then we're going to, so we don't have to water apart. So we've got a cling film machine, and we just knead it like that, and I cling film it, and I'm going to put it in the fridge, right? So there's all in the fridge, so that's the first job. Then we're going to get the bolognese on, thank you. That's it, Sam, thank you. So, cling film machine, and now I'm going to put it in the fridge. No, I'm not going to label mine because I'm going to put mine in a separate fridge, and I'll put it in the door so I know it's mine. So now I've got all sticky fingers, I need to wash them. This water's red hot. It's actually nearly over full. So if it's over full, I have to empty some out with a jug. People have always asked me this, how are they going to do it? So I'm going to empty some out because it's too hot for me to wash my hands in. Now normally we have a hand wash base of just hand washing, but obviously with the COVID, so people don't mix too much. I do let them wash it in their own area. Then we've got some paper towels in every area, then they don't have to walk too far. So then chuck it all in there. Now I've got clean hands. Now I'm going to make the bolognese. So the bolognese is basically, we've made this before, onions and stuff in it. So I can get this cooking, right? I should have a non-stick mat underneath. There in the middle here in our middle drawer. That stops the chopping board moving about. I don't need a red chopping board. That was if I was going to cut the meat up. We haven't got brown chopping boards. We're just going to use the white chopping boards for the onion. So the onion, you can either cut it in half. This onion's got a brown bit in the middle, by the way, so be careful of that, because most people peel it and then they just cut up the brown bit of onion. So this has happened, by the way, I think. It stopped raining, so then it started to get a skin, and then it's rained again and got bigger. So as you can see, this onion here has got a brown streak in it, so you need to get rid of the brown bit. Yeah. So anyway, we peel this. Now in my pasta bowl, we use that as a rubbish bowl, and mine's nice and clean, as you can see. Most of them left loads of bits in there, and I got them to scrape it out with the scraper first. So, but we're using the dirty bowl for rubbish. Onion skin all in here, but it's not ready to chop yet because I've got the layer here. So that doesn't happen very often, but I have seen that a few times. So one onion will be enough. I'm losing a bit of onion, but I think that would be enough anyway. Oh, that was funny. I've never done that before. I couldn't have done that if I tried. So a lot of the, luckily we're going to use the marge for savoury stuff, but that's going to have a bit of onion in there. So when I take it later, I'm going to take that bit there. That was funny, wasn't it? That made them all keep good in front of me. Look. So chop it up small, 90% of the way through. Spin it. Yeah. So when we have some oniony biscuits later, we'll know why, won't we? But we're using all that up with this class and all this week. That's our main thing this week. Lasagne, I've got 4 classes, and they're all making lasagna this week. Chop it up, and then I'm going to get it on, and I'm going to get the mince on, and I'm going to weigh my flour and margarine and milk. So that's the onion chopped up. Now normally in lasagna you might have some other vegetables, peppers and mushrooms, but we're keeping it quite simple today. So in here, put the mince on, make sure it's on. It's on. I get my plastic stirrer. Don't try and leave this on the side. Try and put it in your container or in your dish. And I'll show you the dishes you put it on. So the dishes are, this is a 1 portion dish. This is actually called a pie dish, and it's actually for a pie, an individual pie. These ones are like 2 portion dishes unless you're very hungry. So in a restaurant you get one this size. You wouldn't normally get one that size. That would do 2 portions. This would either be 1 to 2 portions. This one, if you haven't bought a dish in, you're getting that. Mine, this costs still 23p each. I did say to mine, if they bring their own dish in, they get 23p's worth of extra stuff, so that should happen. Now what I've got, we've got potatoes left from last week. They're all going to get 1 potato to make some chips with. What I also do sometimes is if I've got some mince left, so since say I've got a class of 21, and only 19 turn up, and I've got 3 packets of mince, which should be enough for 21. There's 2 bits of mince left over. I split them between the ones that have the container. So that's what you can make it in if you haven't bought a container in. So, so now we fry the mince. We have to sort of top it like this so it cooks. This is called the Maillard reaction because it's got protein in it. And if you dry fry it, that means you put no oil in it. So now I'm going to weigh the butter. Now I'm going to make sure I weigh it. And I used the bit where my onion landed in. So I need 25 grams. So 25 grams is half an egg. So if you think to yourself how big an egg is, this should be quite easy to measure. I've also got 300 millilitres of milk, which is about a can of Coke's worth. You know, a can of Coke is 330, so you should be able to know roughly how big that is. Now you don't have to warm the milk up first, but I'm showing you a way in this. You can just put the milk in cold. But if you're making 2 or 3 gallon of it, then you can warm the milk up first. So this goes on high. Right, and then I'm going to make the roux in this little pot here. 25 grams of butter. See how close I can get with this. So 25 grams. So, I'm going to use this bit I said, didn't know where the onion chopped in. So I reckon that's roughly, that's bigger than half an egg. That's probably bigger than half an egg. Let's have a look. Oh, 26 grams, so a little bit bigger, but that's good, that's close enough. So 2 grams is not a lot of difference, that's probably about 2 or 3 grams left on here. So the next thing I'm going to do is put this on, and this is called a roux, spelt R-O-U-X. So that reads a bit small there, So I'm going to put the back one on and maybe move it to the front one in a minute, because that's a real small one at the front, so I don't know. But you're better to use the front one. I'm going to stir it with a spatula, but you can only use a spatula if it's a silicone one, not a rubber one, otherwise it'll melt. Then I'm going to use the flour. So I need normal flour for this one, plain flour, and I need 25 grams. Now, I know for a fact a tablespoon of sugar is exactly 25 grams because it sort of falls off. But flour, you can get like a heat bit. This will be more than 25 grams because it heats up really well. So to do flour, that's going to be about, let me see how close I am. That's going to be about 25 grams, maybe a bit more. Let me take a bit off just to show you how much to do. You don't really need to measure this. I wouldn't normally measure this. I would just guess it if I was in chefing somewhere. So, and that was slightly under actually. That's about 22 grams. So I need another 3 grams. So I'm not going to measure that, but I'm just going to get that extra bit there, right? So the margarine's there, so you need 2 stirrers. I'm stirring the mix as well. You have to be careful of stirring them both at the same time. If you don't think you can do both, make the mince, then make the sauce. Yeah. Well, once you've got the tomatoes in, it went better. So I'm not going to strain this because it doesn't look like there's much fat in there. But if you were, you get a colander and do it in your rubbish bowl. Do not put the fat down the sink. And a colander is not the sieve; it's the bigger type one. So the onions can go in now. Yeah, for a little bit. And so it doesn't burn, I'm going to put the tomatoes straight in. So I think I put half a tin of tomatoes on the recipe. What's I got? Because I'm not sure if I put a whole tin. I think I put half a tin. So you're sharing a tin, guys, yeah? And also, you then can just put a little bit of water in as well, because otherwise, when it's boiling and you're doing another job, it will evaporate. So a little bit of water as well, and then it will just let it simmer. So while that's cooking for a minute, I'm going to get the other one going and get back to that one. So now I've got the flour, and I've done the flour. Flour goes in this one. This is now a roux. So butter and margarine together, a roux, R-O-U-X, an unusual word. There's a famous French chef called the Roux brothers, and his daughter's a chef as well now. And then you cook it for about 10 seconds or so, till it goes like a sandy texture and leaves the side of the pan. I'll show you that here. Hopefully you can see that in the picture. Right, and then you start adding the milk a little bit at a time. If you're adding the cold milk, if it's warm, it's a lot quicker, by the way. Now you just stir it, and you need to stir this consistently, otherwise it will burn. And you go around the bottom of it. This pan here is not good for sauce because it goes like this, then like this. The saucepan has got rounded bits on it, so it doesn't burn there, by the way. That's gone thick now. This is called gelatinization when it thickens up, by the way. Next bit of milk. So in my mince, I haven't got many flavours. At the moment, I've only got onion, tomato, onion and tomato. Now I can give it some extra flavour, so I can put some, I've got some thyme here. I've got fresh thyme downstairs, so I could have put that in. Oh, I've got my pupils earlier. They love doing this, they don't really. Look, I've got them, let me have a look here. I've made them pick this whole thing of parsley. So I've got some fresh parsley there, which I can chop up. That could have been on a green board maybe, if I had a green board, but we don't. Then I can put some maybe oregano in it, and also some garlic. So I'll do the garlic first to show you. 1 or 2 cloves of garlic, crush it. The skin just falls off. Now we don't normally use the garlic crushers because they're a pain to wash up. So chop the little brown bit off, the little root bit. Throw it in the bin or in your rubbish bowl. Chop it up. And then we've got a bit of garlic in it. So obviously if you don't like it, don't put it in. If the school have got some spare, you can put 2 in if you want. I'm going to put in a bit of fresh. Oh, now I'm back to my sauce. So you might be better making one than the other one, but I can multitask a bit. So it's go in. If it goes lumpy, you can give it a little bit of a whisk at the end. So I'm heating this up. And it thickens through gelatinization. Later we don't put the cheese in until there's no lumps in it and it's all done. So just stir it a bit, and we'll try and leave this out of it. And I'll leave that on there. So this now leaves lowering down, now it's simmer, so now I leave it down to simmer. Now, but I can put a stock cube in. So I've got a beef stock cube, one of these. You have to dissolve this really, or if not, if you can't dissolve it, you have to break it up and put it in, otherwise you get a big lump in there. My milk's boiling at the back, so I'm turning that off. So this would be a lot quicker to do it, but you don't have to use the hot milk. You could put the milk in between 2 of you in a saucepan, and this should go to the right thickness. If you simmer it, it will go a little bit thicker. So just put that in here. Looks a bit runny at the moment, but in about 1 or 2 minutes, it should be thicker. So my mince is bubbling, but it's simmering now. I'm going to put this goes in the rubbish, obviously, in the rubbish bowl or straight in the bin. Finish with the skulls. This gets chopped up like this. This knife, my hand sitting here, I've got a bigger knife than this, but I'm not going to show you with that because you haven't got the. You have to use these ones, and these are the same ones at both schools. We got these at Broome Park and Bay House. It's exactly the same knives because I used one yesterday down at Broome Park. So you chop this up, so you can put a handful of this in, and you can save a bit of this for garnish. So this is better fresh herbs. They're free, and they've got a lot more flavour. Now my cheese sauce is looking good. Now I'm going to grate it on this board with the parsley because I don't mind a couple of green bits doing it, but you could get a clean board, but I won't do that because dairy is meant to be on white anyway. So that's chopped up. I'm going to chuck all that in my bolognese. You can save a bit for garnish, so I might save that little bit there just for garnish. Then my sauce is in. I'm going to show you this. And I can whisk, I can show you, so stir it. If there's no lumps in it, mine's no lumps in it, but if there was lumps, you find a whisk. So you get a whisk out. If there's some lumps, if it's really bad, you might have to hand blend it. So let me just see if I can see the. Ooh, let me have a look. Here we are. Whisk. We don't use these. So I've got two different types here. This one's a lot bigger, but I've only got a little bit. So it's going to be alright. So I don't need to do this, but just to show you, if you've got any lumps in it, only once it's come to the boil and you've finished it, you just give it a bit of a whisk. Right, and then this is called a white sauce, which is a bechamel sauce, right? So only don't whisk it for too long, especially if you've got aluminium pans, otherwise it makes it grey. So that's done. Now I can turn this down to simmer, and I'm only going to simmer it for a couple of minutes while I grate the cheese. Right, so the cheese. Now this is one reason I was showing you this. So I've got the cheese here. I think it normally comes in an 800 gram block. So I've got an 800 gram block here. So you're going to get 75 grams each, so I'd cut that into 10. This one I'm cutting into 8 because it's already lost some already. So I cut it into 8, cut it in half, and the teachers will do this anyway. Cut it in half again, cut it in half again, cut it in half again. I've got one girl in this class, she's allergic to the proteins in it, so she's got the vegan cheese. So she's got that as well. So I just get one of these and grate it up. So I'll just get one of these. So put these, I'll just move these to one side. Get the cheese grater out, which are in the cupboard. On the white chopping board. I'm simmering this. That's nearly done, the bolognese, but make sure, and then you take the spoon out, like I said, and put in your dish or your container. If you haven't got a like you said, if you haven't brought the dish in, you just take the foil dish home. And then what you do is you put the lids on. There's some lids for these. There's some lids, paper lids, and you can write your name on it. Don't put the lid on until it's cooled down a bit, otherwise it will go, it'll take longer to cool down. So we only put in 3/4 of the cheese because we're going to put a quarter on top, and that's called au gratin. So I'm going to put in, don't forget, I'm going to save this little bit to put on top. So in here, and then I give it a stir. That bit's on top, don't forget. So give it a stir, and I'm going to show you this. The cheese will take a while to dissolve or melt. So at the moment, you can see the cheese in there. So hopefully you can see that in the, there we are. It's about the right consistency, but it's got the cheese in. So the cheese will, I can more or less turn that off now, especially if you're going to do another job. Right, so I'm going to turn that off, but I'm only going to leave this for a little bit, for about 5 minutes to simmer. Thank you. So we're going to leave that now. The people's all going to go and do it. Then I'm going to show you putting it together.